show of hands, have any of you ever been a teacher's favorite, or do you know someone that's been a teacher's favorite?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of hands. Well, I know someone that has had a student in kindergarten that was a teacher's favorite in pre-K. So, my mom's friend is a kindergarten teacher, and I remember seeing a story she told me a long time ago. So, there was this little girl who, let's call her Cindy. And Cindy was used to being the teacher's pet. She was one of the smartest students in her pre-K class, and the teacher favored her a lot. She would let Cindy do as she pleased, and she was allowed to get away with anything. She was a teacher's helper, and she was even allowed to be in charge of the other students. So, this was all just because the teacher just saw her more worthy than any other student. Well, everything changed when my mother's friend became her kindergarten teacher. This girl was treated the same as everyone else, and whenever she did something wrong, she faced the same consequences as everyone else, as it should have been in the beginning. But of course, Cindy didn't like this. And because she was so used to being above everyone, it was hard for her to adjust to these changes. This is honestly really bad for kids, not just for Cindy, but also everyone else. Students who feel like they're being put in a pedestal, especially at a young age, creates a dangerous mindset. Instead of being seen as treated the same way as everyone else, these students are more likely to feel like they lost their spot in class and maybe disliked by the teacher. Favoritism not only affects the ones being favored, but it also impacts everyone else as well, which is kind of sucks. To those other students who did nothing wrong. And there are times when they experience a blow to their self-esteem. They may start to believe that they are not good enough to be the teacher's favorite. And they may start to question themselves if they are the problem. You know, just thinking maybe they're dumb, or maybe that they're not good enough. And because of this, this could lead to them changing on who they are, just to gain those opportunities. They may also compare themselves academically, socially, or physically to others. Some students are more sensitive to others, and this can have a long-term effect on them. In some cases, their anger and frustration could lead them to lash out on those innocent students just because they were being treated differently. Not only are relationships affected by favoritism in the classroom, but grades and opportunities as well. There are times when teachers seek favoritism to another level by giving these students special treatment. For example, they may give these students easier questions, allowing them to take retakes, which maybe they weren't supposed to, or grant them better chances to those who aren't being favors. The only ones being positively affected by this are, of course, the ones who are being favored or receiving special treatment, while those who aren't being favored may not try their best, which limits their chances to even qualify to get into a good school, because they were not given the same treatment. All because of the inequalities in opportunity created by favoritism. Of course, this does not apply to when the student needs help. Teachers are there to help students who may be struggling in a certain course or subject just because, well, that's their job, and not an example of favorability. There is a difference. However, if a teacher is helping a student who does not need extra assistance or intervention, this is a situation that only favors the student over the others. Favoritism. Just like the example of favoritism in the story that I said earlier. There was a situation in which the student was given more power over the other kids, instead of giving them leadership skills where the student helps others. Teachers have an essential role and focus on each student's individual talents to find how they can support them the most. Without an unbiased learning experience, students can lose more than they gain, says Eva Harshman. Teachers, it's okay to have favorites. I mean, us students even have favorite teachers. All we wish is to be treated the same and have the same opportunities and relationships as everyone else. Having that sort of bond with the student isn't bad, and I wanted to say this because, well, you all have such a big impact on us. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.